So good morning to everybody that's joined us already. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Simon Chaplin and I am the founder of the Accountants Mastermind. This morning we are going to be with Gerard Evans from Virtual Cabinet, who is going to do a demonstration around Virtual Cabinet and how you can use that within your practices in order to manage your documents and ultimately save some time. And if you're still on manual files, you'll never have to look for a manual paper file again. But anyway, Gerard will be sharing more of that in a moment. How do these things work? If you've never been on them before, for me, the best part of these conversations is the questions that you ask the person, Gerard in this case, whilst he's demonstrating the software. So please feel free to pop questions in the Q&A box. If you look at the bottom of your screen, it should be on the right-hand side of the raised hand button. It's two little boxes. If you click that button and pop your questions in there, they pop up on this screen to the left-hand side for me. Alternatively, you can use the chat box on the left-hand side of the raised hand button. If you post that there, that will also pop up on this screen. The slight challenge that I have with that sometimes is that if people post lots of stuff, they scroll off and I don't know what questions have been asked and what there's not. So if you can ask the questions in the Q&A box, that would be grand. And I also have a number of questions on a different screen where people have asked as part of the registration process. And obviously I will ask those as we go through. I always give priority to the questions that are asked from the people that are in the room watching live. So if you post in the Q&A box, your questions will take priority over the pre-registered questions. I think that's all I need to share with you. So without further ado, if I could introduce you to Gerard from Virtual Cabinet. As I say, we definitely won't go past 10:30 this morning, but I will now hand you over to Gerard to share with you the delights of Virtual Cabinet. Go, Gerard.
Thanks, Simon. Really pleased to be here and giving you guys a demonstration of Virtual Cabinet. For those of you that don't know anything about Virtual Cabinet, obviously we'll go into it in a little bit more detail in a moment. But fundamentally, as Simon kind of alluded to, what we provide is a document management and client portal software to the accountancy sector, amongst other industries. Accountancy is our main market that we deal with. We work with roughly about 35% of the top 100, all the way down to kind of sole practitioners as well. And really the system is about, having kind of, at the moment, a lot of businesses will have separate kind of silos of information everywhere. So kind of your emails may be in your email inbox. You may have documents on a server. Obviously you might have documents in the practice management, accounts, tax software that you're using. You have even information coming in the post and putting in a paper file. So it's really just about bringing all of that together. So you've got the kind of one single area and source of truth for all of your documentation. So yeah, I mean, I've been with the business for just over 3.5 years now, helping businesses like yourselves to be more efficient and kind of save time when dealing with documents internally, as well as your clients. So what I'll do, I'll run into the demonstration. Hopefully you guys will have some questions for me as we go, but we'll kind of dive in. So just to clarify, just to make sure everyone can see my screen all okay, can you see that, Simon?
I can see it. Yeah, I can see a 2015 tax return, which fills me with dread.
Great, no problem. So Virtual Cabinet primarily is an on-premise solution, but there are kind of instances where we can actually offer it in the cloud, but I will come on to that in a little while, as I'm sure we may even kind of receive a question on the cloud. So each individual user will have their own login. But one thing to bear in mind about Virtual Cabinet is it's not a kind of off-the-shelf solution. So what we do with clients in the beginning, during the setup, we provide consultancy with them to ensure that the system is built to their specifications and their needs, really. So all of the kind of filing structures, the user privileges, that is all built bespokely with you in the beginning. and we show you how to manage the system moving forward from there. So what you can see at the moment, this is just the home screen within Virtual Cabinet. So really it's a quick and easy place for you as a user to be able to pick up from where you've previously left off. At the top here, you have the main tabs that anybody will tend to use in the system. So scanning, if it's your function to scan documents into the business. We have an in-tray system. So this enables you to do things such as route post or pass documents around internally within the practice. And the search function, obviously this is where you're going to be able to find and locate the documents that you're looking for. We also have the Discover tab. So this really is a bit of a client hub. So it consists of things like some small user how-to help videos. You can add licenses, do upgrades, and you've also got a link into our support team in there as well. Just beside that here, you can see where I'm scrolling my mouse, you can see that it's stamp dated and timed with my rights as a user and when I logged in. So everything that's done within the system is fully audited. So this really gives you the ability to see, you know, to go back and see exactly maybe what's happened to a document, when it's happened and who's done it. And this is a really crucial part of the system if you are considering going paperless, that you have that audit trail in the background. Across the middle here, I've got a ribbon of the 10 most recent documents that I as an individual have worked on. So as you can see, I can kind of click through them. I can flip the documents around, see them in a 3D view. And on the back there, you can just see some of the indexing information associated to that document in terms of how it's filed. If I right click on a document, you can do anything that you'd expect to do with a document normally. So you can open it, you can email, you can print. You can see at the minute I've got the option to delete. This is pure and simply because I'm on a full admin license for the purpose of the demo. And we can structure that depending on kind of hierarchies within the company and things like that. And also just down at the bottom, I've got some saved searches. So if I'm regularly working on a particular client, I can save the search into their file at any point. That will then just appear down there like a shortcut. Simply all I do then is double click on there and it takes me straight into that client's file that I wish to see, just to save you a little bit of time when coming to find and search information. So first of all, I'll just touch on scanning. So with the scanning function, we would set up integrations into your scanners to enable you to get any kind of post is a good example, get those types of documents into the system. But whether you're using a multifunctional device or a desktop scanner, we can connect to both for you. What you can do from here, imagine today I've got today's post. You guys obviously au fait with this. You've probably obviously got particular processes that you have in place when the post comes in. Maybe it goes to somebody in the practice once it's been opened to be checked, and then probably it gets either manually distributed to different individuals depending on who needs to work on it or action it, either manually, or maybe it gets floated around on email and things like that. But what Virtual Cabinet does is enable you to get the post into the system from the get-go, and you can distribute it from here as well electronically. So imagine I've got my scanner set up here, and what I can do when scanning documents in, I can select whether I want them to go to an in-tray, and you can see from the drop down I've got all the different in-trays for people in the practice, or I can put it into a filing cabinet and file the documents straight away from here. You can also name the file, so I could call this post 9th of the 6th. But another thing that we've done just to help speed up this scanning process is we've created these document separator sheets. So how these work are, say for example, I've got today's post, I would have a number of these separator sheets printed off in the office and sat by the scanner. Simply all you do then is slide one of the separator sheets in between each individual letter. You then put all the posts in the scanner together. A Virtual Cabinet then will recognize these barcodes as a break and separate them and scan them through to your in-tray as post 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So if I scan the document, what you get here is a document preview. It despeckles it, deskews it, it gets rid of blank pages and that kind of thing, flips them the right way around, all that jazzy stuff. But also it does read the body of the document. So any of the content of that document can actually then be searched upon moving forward. So imagine I've scanned the documents across into my in-tray.
Just quickly on that, Gerard, I've got a question on scanners from Adrian. Yep. Do you recommend a scanner Does the scanner come with the software, and roughly what am I paying for a decent scanner?
Yeah, so I would always advise to look at kind of a desktop scanner for virtual cabinet. Obviously, depending on the amount of scanning that's taking place. We do work as a reseller for Fujitsu, and a really good scanner that we typically advise clients to use is a Fujitsu FI7160. They're really good scanners. They're kind of Rolls Royce of desktop scanners anyway that are affordable. They print, I think they scan about 120 pages a minute or something like that. They are roughly, I think, about £595, I think, retail.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And what do we buy them from you? Do we go to Amazon?
You can do, yeah.
We can get them through.
I'll be honest, you can do, but it's always worth having a little look online and a shop, because you never know what kind of deals are out there as well. So I'd always advise kind of, scanning the market. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you. Cheers, Gerard.
No worries. So yeah, just going back to that, and imagine I've scanned the documents into my in-tray now. So the idea behind the in-tray, it's a replication of having a physical in-tray on your desk, really. So the idea being, I can click through these documents nice and easily. As you can see on the left-hand side that I've just highlighted in orange, I've got a nice preview of the documents. If you guys do work on dual screens, which I'm sure many of you do, this document viewer can be dragged onto another screen. So you can work from a full resolution image and work from virtual cabinet on the other one. And on the right-hand side here, you can see I've got all the different in-trays for people in the practice. So we can set up grouped in-trays so that multiple people can have access to a particular in-tray. Maybe you've got departments or teams within the practice that you need multiple people to be able to view. But say, for example, here, I just want to pass this document. I've got the post here. I want to pass this to Alison. It's one of her clients. Quite simply, all I can do is drag and drop that into her in-tray like such. But what you can do here is you can add like a virtual sticky note to the document for Alison's reference. So I can just put something generic for her. Please action ASAP. And then if I click send, my in-tray will go from 13 documents down to 12. And if I click on Alison's in-tray here, just to show you, you can see that she's got the document that I've just sent her with the reference of the sticky note. Alison will obviously get a pop-up notification advising her that Gerard has popped the document in her in-tray. But if she clicks on the sticky note, you can see that it's stamped, dated and time there with the note that I've put on there for her to see. The good thing about these notes are these can be added at any point, and they're just purely for internal use as well. In case you're wondering, from a security perspective, we can set up security around the in-trays as well. So maybe an example, if you were a partner and you didn't want kind of a junior member of staff having access to your in-tray, you can restrict that. So just to show you a quick example of that, if I click on Dave's in-tray down at the bottom here, you can see that the in-tray is disabled for me and all my privileges have been revoked. So effectively, I don't have the privileges to view his in-tray. And that can all be customized during the setup and by you internally as things go on. There is also a little bit of reporting around the in-trays as well. So just give you a bit of an overview from a management perspective. If I click on reports up at the top, and the in-tray report is a nice and simple report. What this does, this basically just gives you an overview of all of the documents that are in people's in-trays and are waiting to be filed. So, for example, you can see admin, there's a bit of a build up there. They may have been off sick. And what that enables you to do then, if you need to, is go into that in-tray and redistribute the work elsewhere, just to help kind of manage any bottlenecks and things like that. If I want to file a scanned document away, if I click on index down at the bottom, it brings up all of my filing cabinets here. So I have a lot here, to be honest, and that's just purely because I demonstrate to all different types of businesses. Obviously, these cabinets will be set up bespokely for you, but the fundamental part of this is you don't just have to use it for client files. So I've got a client accountancy folder that I'll use as an example in this case, but you can also use it for HR, payroll. I've even got a folder there for my own personal information. So in order to file a document away, quite simply, again, it's just a drag and drop. So I'm going to drag it into the client accountancy folder like such. And then the first thing that it does, it actually asks me to index or tag the document. So we work with you to set up a kind of predetermined list of indexing fields, as you can see here. So this is just a standardized template that I've got set up for the accountancy sector. These would be set up bespokely, but you can see in general the kind of subsections within the file here may be quite similar to you. I've got my accounts file documents, I've got my general, I've got my tax as well. So in this case, I'm just going to say that this is some correspondence, and it brings me up a number of different fields here. So these again will be customized for you. But you can see some of the fields have chevrons beside them. So one thing that I didn't mention is we've over the years we've developed a number of integrations with a lot of the main software providers out there in the accountancy sector. So obviously we need to look at it on a case-by-case basis, but the big ones, your Irises, CCHs, etc., we can integrate to them so that when I'm starting to type in client name or code, that is pulling that live from your database of clients that you've got set up in the software that you're using. I've got some other fields here as well. You can set up mandatory fields so that certain levels of information has to be completed before it allows you to file a document. But if I click file, that'll be filed as correspondence from HMRC for my client Linden House software. I can put any description there that I need as well. And if I click file, that then files that away into Virtual Cabinet. And I'll show you what that looks like and obviously how you can retrieve that information a little bit further down the line. So that's just kind of scanning, passing documents around and then filing them away internally. As I said, with integrations to other softwares, we do have a lot. So there's various other things that we can do with those integrations, such as the ability to automatically file documents from those software. So say, for example, I'll use Iris as an example. If you create a tax return or a set of accounts, you can actually kind of automatically file that document. It will recognize the client, document type, etc., and file that at the click of a button into your new filing structure, just to eliminate any, I suppose, the minimum human interaction and that kind of thing there as well, just to speed up that process. So next, I'll just touch on, we do have an integration with Microsoft Office. So your Word, Excel documents, it gives you the ability to get those into Virtual Cabinet quite easily as well.
Just before you go on to that, Jared, just on the, I've got a question. Does it work with Zapier? So can you zap out of it and into it? Do you know?
Zapier, I'm not 100% sure if I'm honest, but I can find out if you. What I'll do afterwards, because we do have a long list of the integrations. I'll have a look and I'll drop you an email to let you know exactly what we can or can't do with Zapier.
Brilliant, thank you, Gerard. And then Neil's got a question on desktop or cloud, which we will get to before we finish the 30 minutes or so demonstration, Neil. So yeah, no problem. We'll definitely answer that question for you. Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, I'll touch on emails for you. So emails, I know from a lot of practices that I speak to, are typically one of the biggest bugbears for people because people tend to do things differently. You may have various different staff members having kind of a folder structure in their email, but then obviously if you need to go into a file and find that, it can be difficult if they're not around, or you've still got to kind of go in and search for your actual individual emails to get that information. What Virtual Cabinet does, there's two ways that we can actually enable you to file emails. So through integrations that we have in place, we can automate this. So for example, if you had an email address set up in your practice management or accounts and tax software for a particular client, and as long as you're on Office 365 or Microsoft Exchange, as probably many of you are now, we can actually automatically file any client emails that come in or go out to anybody in the practice. So how that works is we basically take a copy of that email as it comes in and file a copy in the correspondence file for that particular client in Virtual Cabinet automatically. The emails still come into your inbox as normal, and you can deal with them, reply, forward, whatever you need to do, but then a copy of the replies or the forwards will also go into that client's file in Virtual Cabinet for you. Alternatively, we've got this kind of add-in within Outlook that enables you to get the emails into the system. So I'm just in my quick view in Outlook, as you can see. I've got some additional icons here on the right-hand side. So that is basically just a visual representation to me that these emails here have already been filed away. And you can see the ones that have come in at the top here. There's nothing there beside them currently. So if I just open this email up, first and foremost, what you'll see on the right-hand side is some suggestions in the add-in. So this is a fairly new feature that we've added, okay? And it uses a bit of machine learning or AI, depending on kind of how you want to word it. But really what this is doing here, it's actually starting to give me some suggestions based on my previous filing habits from this email address related to this subject. It remembers where I filed them in Virtual Cabinet and starts to suggest to me where it thinks it should go. So it's actually saying, it's got give me a couple of options. If any of this is correct, if you click on that, it pre-populates the next part and then files that email for you automatically without you having to go in and manually put in any information. But if I skip that, you can see this is what the add-in will look like if you don't do that. So it gives you the option at the top, firstly, to file the whole email, which is the body and the attachment. Or if you only want to file the attachment, you can do. I've got this set up so it's automatically going into my client accountancy folder. And what it's done for me, it's automatically tagged it as general correspondence from client. But you can change that on the fly if you need to. And then simply all you have to do is input, say, the client name or code that it is associated to. It will automatically pick up the description as the email subject for you as well if you need it to. And if I click file, that then files that email into Virtual Cabinet for me. However, another additional piece of functionality that we've added here to help bridge the gap between manual and automatic filing is email conversation rules. And where this comes in handy is, you know, you've probably had instances where, you know, you're back and forth on email with a client, and you don't want to have to keep manually filing an email. You get response 2 days later. It's an important conversation. You want it all to go in the file, but you don't want to have to keep going in and manually filing it. So if you tick this box here where it says email conversation rule, what that does, that then effectively electronically tags the email and ensures that any future replies and forwards in this email conversation will automatically be filed away. So you get a response, you reply, you keep getting that email chain going, it will keep filing those responses for you. But then if the conversation may be moved away from giving them advice to what they're up to at the weekend or something trivial, you can just simply come into the email, untick the box, and it will stop the filing from that point. But as you can see, if I click file, it tells me it's been filed here. If I go back onto the home screen, as you can see, it indicates there as well that it's been filed. What it does, if one of, say, for example, if I filed the email and Simon was, I was working in Simon's practice with Simon, I filed the email, but he was included or copied in. It will also retrospectively go back to Simon's email and indicate to him that it's been filed as well. So it works on like a first come, first served basis, and also just helps to avoid any duplicate emails being put onto the file for you. Also, what it does, it stores some of the indexing information on the right-hand side so that if you need to quickly go in and find, maybe you get a question from a client, you need to go in and search their file to bring up a piece of information. If you click on any of this here, it will basically invoke Virtual Cabinet to open, and then it will run a search for you. If I click on Linden House, for example, on that client, bring me up their whole client file, and then I can go in, retrieve the information, and then go back to my client nice and easily. So as you can see, I've got a number of different files there. If I go into the accountancy one, I've got all my client files there, emails. I can find what I need to find and then go back to the client and answer the question. No problem. So we'll go back onto Virtual Cabinet, and I'll show you the searching side of things. So obviously this is where you're probably going to see the most benefit, I think, from the system. The time saving it offers in terms of going back and retrieving documents that you need to view, or just being able to see a file in real time. So obviously that's all done through the search tab up at the top. And the great thing about Virtual Cabinet, it gives you a couple of different ways to search depending on you as a user, really. So first and foremost, I can go across onto search criteria on the right-hand side. This then brings up all of my filing cabinets. So I can select the cabinet that I wish to look in. So in this case, I'm going to say client accountancy. And then I've got a number of different indexing fields here that I can filter down on. So you can see we've got all the document type, period end, client name. So I could select correspondence to HMRC for Joe Bloggs Limited, and it will bring me up all of the correspondence for Joe Bloggs. So you can go in there and granulate your searches to where you need to be quite quickly if you wish. However, I prefer, this is personal preference obviously, but just using the Google style search bar across the middle here. And this gives you a much more dynamic way of searching, because you can use this to manipulate your searches and get to where you need to be quicker. So in this case, if I just said, I'm just going to go in and search for client Linden House, simply type in Linden House, hit enter. And what it does, it will bring me up all of the documents that I've got within the Linden House client file. Okay, so if I just collapse the groups first and foremost, just to show you, you can see I've got all my subsections of the file within here. Okay, and it breaks up all of this information for us. So we've got the document type, the client name, the index information, description, the entry date. All of this can be played around with and customized to what suits your eyes as an individual when searching. But the reason it breaks this info up for us is we can filter down on any of this information. So say under the type of documents, if I just want to find the P11Ds, all I do is type in P11 there in the file, and it'll bring me up all of the P11Ds. As soon as I find the one I'm looking for, I right click and you have every option to do what you'd normally be able to do with a document and then some. In the same way, you could double up on these searches. So say in the type of documents, I wanted to look for an email message that may be related to HMRC. You can double up on there. You can see I've got 2 email results there from HMRC, and then you can find which one is appropriate and do whatever you need to do with that. In the same way that you can just use Google style search bar up at the top. So I can come in here and granulate my searches. So say I want to search for Linden House and anything related to tax. I can just type in Linden and tax. I'm just using part of the keywords here, as you can see, and it's brought me up everything within the Linden House tax file. And if I want to granulate it even further and look for anything related to a tax return, you can see it's granulating the searches more so for us. I've got a number of tax returns there. And you can find the document that you're looking for and get to where you need to be. So back onto the search there for you. Also, you can view the search results in different ways. So I have 3 tabs across on the right-hand side here. I have a list view, which basically just shows me all of the indexing information. And as I said, this can be customized to what suits your eye. I've got a thumbnail view, which shows an overview of the snapshot of the documents. So this can be kind of cashed in or out, made bigger or smaller, and then you can just click through the documents nice and easily to find what you're looking for. It's quite handy if you're just looking for a particular piece of information from a document or something like that. I personally prefer the preview view because I think it gives you the best of both worlds, essentially. And finally, I mean, just before I go on to the content search, you can open numerous documents and view them regardless of type, like a physical paper file. So I've got a number of different documents there. All I'm doing is pressing control on them. If I right click, you have all your normal options, but I just want to open the documents and view them like maybe similar to how you would do with a paper file. And as you can see here, regardless of the document type, I can click through them. I've got some accounts, I've got some emails, and you can click through these documents nice and easily and view them in a nice succinct way. And finally, on the searching side of things, you are able to search through the content of the document. So, you know, you've all had probably instances where you've gone to look in a file for something. You can't necessarily find what you're looking for. Maybe a document's been misfiled or something like that. But you know roughly a word or a phrase that may be in the document, maybe an address, a UTR number or something like that. So the really powerful aspect of searching is the content searching. So this really gives you an extra dimension. It's a fail-safe search, I suppose, in that respect. In order to do this, it's slightly different. So as you can see, I've just highlighted the box up at the top there where it says search content. And all I'm going to do is type in the word that I know might be in the document. So in this case, I know my client's address is Walpole Road. Type in Walpole, hit enter. What it then does, it runs through the body of all of the documents. Okay, it's brought me a couple of results. You can see the results that it's brought up. Nothing there is related to the word Walpole in terms of the indexing information. I've got an ABC view. It actually shows me a highlighted word in a document. And then if I click on the thumbnail view, just to show you, you can see if I scroll down on the document, you can see it has Walpole in the body of the document there. So this will run this search through any document, whether it's an email, a spreadsheet, a PDF, it will search all of those documents for you. So it's a really great way to ensure that no more documents are going to get lost and enable you to get to where you need to be quicker. So that's it on the kind of searching side of things. I don't know if there's any questions that may have popped up from there, Simon.
No. Sorry, turn the video on, Simon. There's no questions specifically that's come up around that search. There's just one that came up about the legality of the documents, Gerard, just while you have a drink.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's a physical document, a hard copy in a file, you can't change it, and it would be admissible in court.
Yes.
So if I've scanned it in, especially if it's a Word document that I've scanned in, I've then obviously got the ability to change that. If I wanted to change a date, backdate it for argument's sake, I could do that. How does that affect the legality of it from a court perspective?
So, good question. So this really is why I mentioned at the beginning of the demonstration why the audit trail was so pivotal when working in a paperless office. So we do have version control in Virtual Cabinet, but from an audit trail perspective, from the time that Word document is input into the system, you have a full audit trail to be able to see exactly what's happened to it when it's happened, to the point of anybody even just viewing the document. So you can, and the audit trail has been tried and tested. It's had some cases itself where people have needed to use it to ensure and see what exactly has happened to a document. But if I right click on a document there and I go to view the audit, and you can restrict who can and can't have these privileges to see this. But if I view the audit trail, you can see from the 23rd of the 6th, 2020, when I saved the first version, I viewed it, I've viewed it again. You can see exactly what's happened to the document and when it's happened. And in the same way, there may be a kind of more, let's have a look at this one. So 2018, if I view the audit trail there, you can see all the way, this has got quite a lot of history on it from 2018. You can see even if people have added notes to it, if they've viewed it. So that audit trail would effectively give you the assurance and any evidence that you would need that a document hasn't been changed or has been changed.
And is that what would make it admissible in court, rather than if say for example you had a Windows Explorer file structure? I don't know whether I'm using the technical terms correctly, but if I had a directory on a server that I saved documents to, would they be admissible in court in the same way? Or
I wouldn't say so, no, because there's no audit trail there to show you exactly when that document's been edited, when it's been viewed, all of that information that goes on in the background. There's no way of you being able to see that. The only thing from a Windows File Explorer point of view you'd be able to see is maybe the previous save of that document, where you can go back and recover it. You can't see if somebody's gone in and edited it numerous times or viewed it, etc.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Tony's just asked about the scanner. It was a Fujitsu FI7160. Was that?
Yes, correct.
Yep, perfect. And I've put that URL. I found it on eBuyer, Tony, and I've put that URL in the chat box for you. So you should just be able to click it, and it will take you to, so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah, and by all means, let me know if you want me to get you a quotation for the scanner. I can do that, but I'd always recommend people to have a look around as well.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's a ScanSnap. I think it's an IX500 that gets talked about quite a lot. I think that's a Fujitsu one as well.
Yeah, so I know with ScanSnaps, I'm pretty sure they're not Twain compatible. So the fundamental thing that we need in order to link the scanner into VC is for it to be Twain compatible, right, so that you can use the scanning interface.
And that's what does the OCR, the
correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Twain and so it reads the document and turns
it
into
does all that junk stuff for you.
And then the last one, just before I let you move on, 2 monitors. So do you recommend 2 monitors for everybody to use it, or can you get away, do you think, with 1 monitor?
You can use it. I mean, I'm using it on my laptop now, for example, so you can use it in 1 screen. However, you can use it through 2 screens as well. So when I showed you a second ago where I opened a few documents and I viewed them like a paper file effectively, that then can be dragged onto another screen, so you can see your search results or another software that you're using, and then you can have a visual view of the document. The same with the in trays as well.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you.
Brilliant. No
Cheers,
worries.
Gerard.
So we'll move on. So I'll now show you the portal side of the business. So this really is where, it gives you the ability to send and receive documents securely, electronically with clients. We also kind of enable digital signatures on documents. We were the first company in the UK to integrate the portal into the client file. And the great thing about the portal that we provide is it's all linked into your virtual cabinet as well. So I'll show you what that looks like and how you can share and receive information with clients. It's all GDPR compliant. And it's really about the time saving efficiencies. So the time it takes to come into here, upload a document to a client, they can sign it within kind of a minute or so, really. And then that document's back in your intro for you then to file or submit to HMRC, Companies House, etc. As opposed to, the traditional methods of sending documents out in the post. I mean, you're losing 2 days there alone for the post. Obviously, a lot more at the minute because as you probably some of you experienced the delays in the postal system recently. But the thing is as well, it's secure. So it's all encrypted. It's compliant with GDPR. So you're covering yourselves, your clients' data, but it's also saving you the time in terms of sending documents and getting them signed. So as I mentioned, it was all linked into your virtual cabinet file here. So I'm in the Linden House file, and let's just say, for example, I want to send that person their tax return. So all I'm going to do is find the documents I wish to send. So I will select a tax return. All I'm doing is holding control while I click on the document. I'll select a computation as well. And I will select a cover letter. You might want to put an invoice on there as well. But they're the 3 documents that I wish to send. If I right click, I have all my normal options. But the option that I want to select this time is portal publishing. So what this then does, it opens up this kind of email style interface for you. So at the top here, you can type in the email address of the person that you wish to send the documents to. We can link that to your emails as well so that you know that it's going to the correct people. You can send it to numerous people as well. So let me just touch on this very quickly. So I can either send it to, so you may have instances where you may have a couple of directors or something like that, and you need to send a set of accounts for them both to approve. You can send it to a collection. So I can send it to both of these individuals. What it will then do, it will work out the workflow for you and send the documents separately, but then embed both of the signatures onto the single document before it sends it back. Or you can send it separately, it will send it to them individually, and you'll receive 2 signed copies of that document back. There's also a new functionality that we've added with the portal. So if you need the ability to have the portal to be multiple branded, we can facilitate that. So maybe you have 2 fronts to the practice or something like that. You can have multiple branding and select here which branding you would like to send this email out as. So I've got the 3 documents here, and if you were sending them out at the moment, you would name them. So I'm just going to call this tax return 2020. I've got the 3 documents here that I wish to send, but what I'd like to do is reorder them and put them in the order I'd like them to be read. So I'm just going to move the tax return down to the bottom. I'm going to put the covering letter up at the top and computation in the middle. And also you've got the ability to rename these documents to tidy it up for your client's benefit when they see them. So, this won't change how the documents are filed and named in your virtual cabinet. This is purely just for the client's benefit to tidy that up. So I've just tidied that up a little bit. As you can see, I've got the covering letter, computation, and the tax return. And the only document here that I actually want to get a signature on is the tax return. So all I'm going to do is tick the box there with a ballpoint pen, and nice and easily that will prompt the client to sign at their end. The red arrow is if you are requesting documents to be returned. So maybe if you're sending a checklist out to clients and you need them to send you ID or something, bank statements, if you select that box and input what you would like in return, it will prompt the client to send something back for you. Just down the bottom here, I've got about 500 characters to put in a message there for the client to see as well. So I'll just put something like generic, hi, please read and sign. You can also remember messages if you're sending a lot out at the same time. I can automatically retract documents after a certain period of time as well. So I've got full control over how long these documents sit up in the client portal for me to have access to. And if I'm happy with that, if I click publish, what that does, that catches up and encrypts the documents. Okay, so the documents will still stay here in your file with you. However, it creates a copy of those documents and uploads them to the client portal for them to have access to. Now, I'll show you what that looks like in a second from the client's perspective. But just before I do that, you can see beside the documents that I've sent, we've now got some kind of additional icons here. So I've got some notes. You can see there, if I click on that, it's stamped, dated and time with the notes that I've put on there for the client to see. I've also got a paper clip beside the document. So what it's done, it's actually grouped the documents together, created a pack and associated them together. So if I click on the paper clip, it shows me that it's in a tax return pack for 2020. If I click on that, it basically closes down the file and just brings me up those 3 associated documents together. I've also got the cloud icon, which identifies to me that this document's been published on the portal. If I click on that, this shows me that there is a silent audit trail in the background for you. So it tells me when these documents were published, whether they've been read or not, and you can see the signature there is still unread there at the moment. Down the bottom, I can send reminders. So if I'm kind of working to a deadline, I need to give my clients a nudge to sign the document and get it back to me. You can send them manually. We can set them up automatically for you as well. And you can also retract a document. So if you sent something by error, maybe you need to retract it, amend it, and then resend it out so that everybody's working on the most up-to-date version. You can do that as well. And now I will show you what it looks like from the client's perspective. So I'll assume the position of the client now. This is probably
Gerard, we just got 1 or 2 sand challenges, and I don't know whether it's the PC. So when it just can slow down a bit, I can still hear you. It's breaking up a little bit as you speak, especially if you press a button and speak at the same time. So I don't know whether that's my imagination or not. But anyway, I'm still getting you. I can still hear you, but I don't know you're getting to the end of it because we've got lots of questions. But when you're talking normally without the software, it works perfectly. So just bear that in mind if you can for me.
Okay, no worries.
Thank you.
So hopefully you can hear me all okay. So I've assumed the position of the client now. So what happens is your client will receive a branded email from yourself. So as you can see, mine is Virtual Cabinet. That will be your practice. Who it was from the practice has sent you some documents. So if I click on the email, this will be branded for you as part of the setup. So it'll have your logo on, so it's more familiar for the client. I've got the standard message the system generates, and then the personalized one that I put on there for the client to see. And then a link to view the pack of documents. Now, the first time that a client receives an email from you, this link will just ask them to register. So if I click on the link to view the documents, I've obviously logged in 1,000,001 times, so it's not going to ask me to do that. And then it brings me to your homepage. So this is all branded for you as part of the setup process. You've got the logo there, the background images, social media links. This is custom built for you. But all I'm going to do is type in my username and password and click login. So now logging in behind 256-bit encryption. So it's fully GDPR compliant, and this can be accessed from any device. And as you can see, nice and easily, the documents that it sent me has come straight up. So I've got tax return, which was the covering letter, which was a Word document, the computation, which was a PDF. So your clients, they don't have to have any external program open to view the documents or anything like that. And then you can see in the tax return there in big and bold, nice and easily, I've got the option to sign or decline the document. If I'm happy with that, all I would do is click sign. I can put any message back to you as well. But what that then does, that embeds a legally binding digital signature into the document. And in a couple of moments, the signed copy of that document will appear back into my in tray like such. Okay. And then, so what it does, when any document's signed, it comes straight back to you in Virtual Cabinet. Also, if I close down the document here, you can leave documents in here for your clients to have access to. So you can scroll through, you can leave documents in here as a client hub for them. So they can come in here, they can review older documents, they can download them if they need to. They can also send documents back to you as well. So they can come in here, click compose, You can upload documents to their in tray, they can upload documents to your in tray, any messages, drag and drop, and that will come straight through into your in tray and virtual cabinet, of which you'll be notified. And just finally, there is a little bit of reporting around the portal. Just finally, I click on reports and click on portal report. Just to give you a quick overview, it gives you an overview of everything that you've sent on the portal and the status of those documents. So you can see I've published 38, 34 have been read, 4 are unread, 5 are unactioned. And if I click on the action status report, this works like a traffic light system. So you can see the green would be completed, the amber pending, and if there was any red ones there, they would be rejected. But if I click on the pending ones, just to show you, it works. It pulls the report for me, tells me the document name, the recipient's email, if they viewed the document or not. So I can see that Gerard's viewed the document there, but he hasn't signed it. It then gives you the ability to then pick up the phone and have that conversation with your client. And that is, I suppose, a whistle-stop tour of Virtual Cabinet and the portal.
Brilliant, thank you. If you just go back to that reports, Gerard, and this is from because we use Virtual Cabinet within Iris. The task manager bit, I don't know whether you shared that or the task. Can you create tasks off the documents? Is there a task monitoring system within there?
Yes, there is. So what we can do with you as part of the setup process, obviously, a lot of you guys probably have specific workflows in place internally. So whether it's kind of approving a piece of outgoing correspondence before it's sent out or distributing the post, you maybe have different kind of templates. What we can do is bring them into Virtual Cabinet and set up specific task templates for you. So say, for example, on here, if I right click on a document and I want to generate a task off the back of it, it will then bring up all of my different task templates here. Okay, so it might be a client take on, I might just need to approve a document for argument's sake. That will then generate and assign to the person responsible for the task. Okay, so in this case, it's the management team. You can alter the due dates, set priorities, and you can also put any comments on there that you feel appropriate. And if I OK this will automatically generate a task to the management team's in tray. So if I go back onto the intro just to show you, I've got a couple of options. I've got my documents and I've got my tasks. I can come in here, I can view my tasks, when they were created, the due dates of them and that kind of thing. Let's just find a recent one. And you can review it. So I can view the document. I've got all the indexing information there. I can add any comments. I can allocate it. I can approve it. I can reassign. So it can be layered to customize your specific workflows. And there's a really good piece of reporting around the tasks as well. So you can see what's outstanding, what's been actioned, all the way down to per individual user. So if you can see if Joe's got a number of different tasks that he or she hasn't been working on, then you can go in and alter those if you need to as well.
Brilliant, excellent, thank you. So if we're done with the software, Gerard, if you could stop the share, and I think that might help slightly with the sound. If anybody wants to get in touch with you to find out more, we're obviously going to talk about pricing, and we've got cloud and hosted and that sort of conversation to have, and I've also got your question as well, Simon, that I will get to. But if anybody wants to get in touch with you, Gerard, how's best to do that? I've lost your sound completely now, Gerard. Let's see if it works. Better. Perfect. Listen to that. There we go. Get back again.
I just saw the red flag. Yeah. So, in terms of contact details, I'm sure Simon will provide them, but you can contact me on my mobile, which is 07973 702 460, or gerard.evans@virtualcabinet.com.
Brilliant. I'll just put those details in the chat box for anybody that wants them, along with a Calendly link, so you can book an appointment and go straight through without the ball's ache, for want of a better phrase, of mobile phones and emails, booking them up. Right. So Simon's question, will the software link to other portals, Accountancy Manager, for example? So you talked about Iris. Do you know if it would talk to Accountancy Manager?
No, not currently. It doesn't. No. We were speaking to Accountancy Manager, but we haven't actually built any form of integration with them as of yet that I know of. But it's not to say that we can't, or it won't be available in the future.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And then price will be the next one. Well, let's do cloud to start with, because that's a question that's come up lots of different times. So where is it? Is it in the cloud? Is it on my laptop?
So fundamentally, Virtual Cabinet, as you well know, is an on-premise solution. So either installed on a laptop if you're a single user, a network, or a server. However, with the growing need for the cloud, obviously we're in development. We do offer the ability to host it in the cloud if you would like it to be done through our cloud partner that we work with. And we've seen a big uptake of that over the past 12 months. However, it's fundamentally, it would just be hosted in the cloud by Cloud for VC, who's our partner, as opposed to being a SaaS product.
Yeah, so it's not a product that's on the cloud. It can be hosted on the cloud. This is my technical language.
And this is and we offer this service as well to bridge that gap, between an on-premise and a full SaaS solution. But that covers you for your backups, your disaster recovery, and all of that as well.
Excellent. So, and Simon said that's hosted desktops. That's what that would be. It'd be a hosted desktop, yeah.
Yes, but it's cheaper than a hosted desktop because you're only running Virtual Cabinet on there.
All right. Okay. So you just run your specific piece of software rather than having everything on it.
Yes, but you can, if you have a hosted desktop, you can have Virtual Cabinet on there as well. Yeah.
Okay. And then a follow-on question from that: what level of storage is needed for the software and documents? Obviously, that depends on the size of the practice.
Yeah.
But is it? I don't know. Is it half a meg a person or a terabyte per person? What's the?
Well, again, it depends on the size of the practice and the amount of documentation that's being brought in and filed. The space that Virtual Cabinet takes up is quite minimal in terms of what the software requires itself. And then really, it's impossible for me to say exactly how much storage space you or somebody else may be using. So we do have things to help with storage issues, such as kind of document retention that we've built into the system off the back of GDPR, where, say, for example, accountants, you guys only need to hold the documents for, say, seven years for regulatory reasons. What your older documents, if they're in the system, once they reach a date of, say, over 7 years, those documents can automatically be pulled into an archive folder for you then to go in and physically delete and destroy the documents. So things like that we've kind of worked on to help that. But what I can do, Simon, if you want, I can forward you over a tech spec sheet, which basically just shows the amount of space that Virtual Cabinet requires itself, but it's minimal.
Brilliant. That would be great. Thank you. So let's talk about price then. So how much is it? Do you pay for the software? Do you pay per user? Do you pay per client? How does it work?
Yeah. So typically we just work on a user-based subscription. So there's no upfront kind of setup fees for the system anymore. We just charge a subscription per license, and that's per user internally. So I think we discussed about a specific pricing structure for you guys, which was kind of a discounted cost.
Yeah.
Typically, you'd be looking at £20 per license for Virtual Cabinet. This is without the discount, and then £10 to £12.50 per portal license. And that includes the integration, your setup, the portal, obviously, to you set that being branded. But what we would offer is £15 per user and then £5 per user for the Virtual Cabinet portal. So it comes to a total of £20 per user per month, which is about £5 a week.
So we're looking at basically 20 quid. So if somebody makes contact and say that they're making contact because of this conversation that they've watched today, they can have it for £20 per user per month. Yeah. And that includes the cabinet,
yes,
and the portal.
Yes.
And I'm probably putting words in your mouth now, but can you have the portal without the cabinet, or
no.
do you have no?
No, because
But you can have the cabinet without the portal if you want.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't have it the other way around because fundamentally everything runs through virtual cabinet before it gets to the portal.
Yeah, before it goes to the portal. That's how I imagine. So that's kind of like an add-on to the portal is an add-on to the cabinet.
Yeah, it's effectively a module that's added onto virtual cabinet, but that would include any kind of integration that we would do into practice management, accounts and tax software, email filing. So whether that be automatic or manual. As well as the whole setup, the consultancy, and also quite importantly, the training. So it's not a case of you buy the system off the shelf and away you go. We actually sit down with you. We'll spend time training you and the staff as well to make sure that you.
So that's all in with that.
Correct.
And then just to get clarity on users, because I know. With some software, you only need one user, and you can have a generic email address or a generic login, and so you only need to pay 30 quid a month. From a virtual cabinet point of view, because of the inboxes and whatnot, I would imagine that wouldn't work. So you would need enough licenses for the users that are dealing with the documents.
Yeah, really, because
description?
And then if we're going back to, like you mentioned about the reliability and if things need to go to court, the document authenticity, if you only had one user, you wouldn't be able to see exactly who's done what if you've got multiple people accessing the system that way and that kind of thing. And also not everybody would be getting the benefits in terms of the searching or the internal process of passing documents.
So from an admin point of view and version control and everybody having access, then the recommendation is that everybody has a user license, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. And then Graham's asked, can the portal be added at a later date at this price?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. So my next question then, if you are doing all of the training, the support and the setup, Gerard, included in the monthly fee, is there a minimum contract period? What happens, and I'm not saying that people do this, but what happens if people come along, they use it for 3 months or they attempt to use it for 3 months and then they don't like it? That obviously you've invested significantly in that relationship. Is there a minimum term? Is there a notice period?
Is typically 12 months.
Okay. Yeah. So if anybody was coming along to do it, then they should be looking to invest 12 months worth of £20 per user, basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
And obviously we'd hope that wouldn't happen.
I totally. It's just I completely get that. It's just from a business owner or from a practice owner's perspective. When I'm looking at it, I'm saying, okay, well, it's 20 quid a month. I might just throw 2 or 3 people at it and have a bit of a play and see whether it works. Yeah. You've committed all that time, and in order for you to be fair to me and me be fair to you, if I know it's a 12-month commitment, then I can build that in.
Sure.
And to a degree, from my point of view as a coach, if somebody is making that commitment, they're much more likely to make a success of it. So it's a double-edged sword in that scenario. So,
and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, in terms of the minimum term, that's really because we put the work with you in the beginning to build it and kind of make sure that you can use it to its full capacity.
Yep. Excellent. Thank you. And then Jeff's asked, will there be a recording of the webinar? Yes, there will, Jeff, and it will be edited today and it should be out tonight, stroke tomorrow morning. Fingers crossed. The little thing says it's recording as it stands at the moment. How do you reassure clients who prefer to do things the old-fashioned way and don't trust technology?
Good question. I mean, for personally, I would, especially more so now because of what's happened over the past 3 or 4 months, I think it may bring the kind of technology and things like this into the forefront of people's minds. I would really just offer it to clients, ask them to try it, because I think once they get over that initial barrier of kind of, resistance, I suppose, once they get over that and they see how easy it can be done rather than, actually having to go get a stamp, physically post a document back to you or something like that, they can just do it from their phone or their laptop in a matter of minutes rather than spending all of the time that it would take them. So I would just encourage them to try it for themselves, see how it works and how quick and easy it can be for them as well as you.
To do it. I find it interesting, and I'm conscious of the time, Gerard, but we still get told that people don't have email addresses, and it's like, how on earth are you surviving in 2020 without an email address? You've got Netflix and Sky and Electric and everything needs an email address these days. So don't come to me with me with that. Linda's asked, do you offer a trial period? So is there a 30-day free period or something like that?
No, typically not. But pure and simply because we do all of that work with you in the beginning, it's not an off-the-shelf solution. As we say, we provide the consultancy to build the system, the files, the user privileges. So yeah, we don't offer a trial for that reason, because we kind of assign an engineer, a consultant to set your account up and make sure it's customized to you, as opposed to just being an off-the-shelf solution.
Yeah, so you're
and that's time and money, effectively. Correct.
You're committed. You're a bit like the pig in the breakfast. You're committed, but the chicken's only contributing.
Yeah. So unfortunately, not.
No. Okay, brilliant. And I've got two last questions. I'm very conscious we're now at 10:31. Do you have, when we talked earlier about Windows Explorer?
Yeah.
Obviously, Smart Vault is another provider, and then Microsoft OneDrive.
Yeah.
How is it just the version control that's different within Virtual Cabinet on those scenarios, or is there?
No, I mean, so just to give you a bit of background, we actually own Smart Vault. So
okay.
Yeah, so it's more Smart Vault originally was more designed for bookkeeping and the kind of single sole practitioners in that respect. Virtual Cabinet is a more kind of fully encompassing solution. So you've got the audit trail, the kind of the in-trays, the email filing, and it brings everything together, as well as integrating into any practice management and accounts and tax software that you use in. Whereas I know OneDrive won't do that. OneDrive really is storage for cloud storage, effectively. You don't have all the additional benefits of the searching, the content searching, the audit trail, linking to a portal, and all of that.
Yeah,
fantastic stuff that comes with it.
It comes along with it. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And the last question, Tracy has asked, how long will the price stand for? So the offer that you've done today on the 20 quid per user, or 15 quid just for the cabinet.
Yes.
Is there a time scale on that, or is that just a ring up and tell them you like Simon?
To be honest, I haven't actually thought of that, but yeah. I mean, if we said for the next couple of months, yeah. So if you came on board between now and say the end of August, then we would hold that for you.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think if you get in contact, Tracy, and have a conversation.
Yeah.
So there might be kids going back to school in September. September might be an ideal opportunity to look at it or something. But have a conversation, Tracy, if you're interested. And
by all means,
we can go from there. So that just leaves me. I will put Gerard's contact details in the chat box again, so they're at the bottom of the chat. For those that it may have moved up. And that just leaves me to say, just checking that there's no more questions, which there isn't. That just leaves me to say a massive thank you to everybody that's come along to share with us this morning, and to thank you for everybody that's asked questions. As I say at the beginning, and I truly mean this, it's the questions that make these conversations better than the usual demonstration and bog standard webinar that we endure on occasion. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much to Gerard as well for coming along. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Gerard, before you disappear?
No, not really. Just thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate it. And yeah, any questions, or if you'd like to find out more information, feel free to get in touch.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you, Gerard.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.